It occurred to
Been on for a year, you know, so I was like, I don't want to skip.
Not being the great. But happy to have it.
I was just one.
yeah, I mean, there's a goal.
Yeah, I got one.
It's going.
Uh-huh.
$2 difference. It's like there's no else. It's like-
Orchard Recreation.
Sure, where I got.
He's coming.
Yes, yes, you never heard that.
It's like.
Right.
It's gonna take like time today, I guess.
It just
What am I
depends.
showing? I'm trying to keep my inbox clear, so that, you know, the things I still have. Back up to 100.
I didn't know if you guys invited them one day or not.
Please.
Put something in, they couldn't just show up at a meeting all of a sudden, take it and go.
Friend sent this to me, so and I talked to you. For this day.
Yeah. I'm not sure who else to reach out to, but I'll. That's a good idea.
I'm just the treasurer suggested voters or passengers, you repeat it.
Yeah, that makes sense, you know, sometimes you don't, but yeah, that's, yeah.
We have people like this. They go to a meeting.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was looking for down like, send my, yeah, cause that is,
And see it.
Yeah.
Oh, is that we need.
West Virginia. First government job I had. Took longer to come back. I had a couple people tell me how long this could take. Like, do you have any idea? Yeah, exactly. No, I swear to God, I just don't think that's not. I can't go a month without a paycheck. That's all, you know. She's like, okay. She's like, you're kind of making me nervous. It's like, no, you can run 5 background checks, just deal with that. That's what I'm saying. So. Yeah, there are some much, yeah, they're. There's some of them. Oh, there are. Yeah. Looks like, would be. I told you I met with, Christy Davis.
She adequately said.
Oh, yeah, and she checked the.
Corey got mini stuff.
It would cost.
Hello?
No.
You okay?
She must be my next person since Richie.
She thinks it's.
That doesn't look
Red got called out on.
For what? Oh,
Your dog.
Good man today, huh?
That's like.
What's up? Good man today?
I'm here. Friday, I just died last. I'll answer some golf questions and I'll give a blank stare.
Yeah, the same thing like Apple, but. You know, it's really good. Some of these. Maybe one.
Thank you. Be on my face.
Right.
Okay.
I don't know. I just said it one. I can't think of it.
Are you? Yeah.
So.
Wish the weather would could burn more people.
I like.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks, watch it. The boss read. Yeah.
Shane trying to burn 30 days of burning in good days.
And there's just one.
Just,
Hi. Yes.
I've never watched the recording.
January. Last month, I will get them to you before the next one. Those are my apologies. Sir.
See you again. Good to see you.
We're all good.
Oh, see over here and then.
He thinks it was. That, sorry. And she's the same, still existence. And one of the things she was really how to source stuff, if we needed to do steps. Yeah, well,
No, Mr. Simon is joining us virtually. I hope should be here.
I saw him walking. in.
Hello. Philip here.
Okay, perfect. Hi.
How's it going, man?
Good, how are you?
How's dad life?
Sorry. What's up, everybody? Alex, where you be here today, right?
He will not. He unfortunately had a meeting.
Oh, worries. Nate be down?
Yes, he should be.
We can wait for Nate. If y'all are on this. Sir? You prepare a statement for the president's briefing? Your microphone's a little more. You know?
Didn't see that. I mean, at least what that's, but some, yeah, it's awesome.
Sleeping all right?
We are now. We're out of the gate, but we're,
Oh, are you doing the, wake window thing?
yeah, but last night he went.
There you go.
That's not right.
Amazing. That's
Yeah,
cool.
that's
Yeah.
all that, bro.
Absolutely, man. I got a 6-month-old and she's going backwards.
That's what I hear.
Yeah, they'll get you. Yeah, man, they trick you. You're like, oh, we got it. And then it's like, no. She was 6 months last Friday.
Nice.
Tuesday, Wednesday was like up to 1, up to 3, up to 4. I'm like, what are you doing, kid? Look at this how 5 months ago.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
All right. Wait for Alex and Nate.
You get there.
Oh.
Wanting to speak for. But, regarding what?
Then you gotta look at stuff. South of it. Tomorrow, storm is supposed to.
Yeah, it's good.
I'm safe today, but tomorrow, yeah, like the neighbors. That day out.
Oh, okay.
Got Phil?
Yep.
Well, we will go ahead and call the meeting to order. Doesn't look like we have any public announcements, but we do have a couple of public comments. Miss Marjorie Fleming? You're up, ma'am.
Good afternoon, Board. My name is Marjorie Fleming, and I live at 6446 East Central Avenue, PO 224, Wichita, Kansas, 726. And I'm here to address today, as usual, dog park. So today, I understand that Rooster Park is getting ready to open. And Rooster Park is a park that recognizes our four-legged heroes. And today, I did not plan on coming to the Park and Rec meeting, but something came onto my Facebook page that reminded me what this is all about. And I thought, I have to go to that meeting today, because I would like to address that not only that we invite to the ribbon cutting all the four-legged heroes in our community, from law enforcement, police and sheriffs, other rescue units, and the military, so that they can also be represented at this event. Also, I also would like the Park and Rec, and if I need to go to a council meeting, to look at us working together to have a nice statue put up that you could see what Rooster Park is about in regards to representing our heroes. The other is I have different suggestions for how to raise funds to help that, because I know that our funding is limited, but I also know that there are a little bit of funds set aside. But to do that, I also suggest that we work on having our own, for all of our parks, our own little Woolstock called something else, so that we can raise funds in to do what we need to do to access, to meet the needs, not only for our park, but for our humane society. Not humane, yeah, where our dogs are sheltered, for our dog shelter, because it's in much need. That is why I'm here today. Any questions?
No, Marjorie, I appreciate you. Questions for Marjorie? I appreciate you making the time to come and share. I like this idea of the four-legged heroes coming to the ribbon cutting. Regarding fundraising, that might be a conversation we could have with the Park Foundation.
Yes,
They receive donated dollars that go to the parks.
yes, and I was aware that there was a foundation,
Yes.
and any funds we could, if we raised any, to go back in there,
Yeah.
but I thought, not knowing the status, I know money's tight everywhere, but, and I know that we have a lot of beautiful statues that are being put up all over this community in the city, but one thing we need to do is also look at our four-legged heroes, because they're just as important as water department, as other areas too. Thank you.
Okay, and Miss Elizabeth Bishop.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to have the opportunity to speak to you and tell you how much we appreciated the assistance of the Forestry Division of the Park Department on Saturday when ICT Trees had a free trees distribution project, and it went from 10 to 1, and the crew from the Forestry Division was absolutely crucial in helping, providing a brief staging area for the free trees, delivering them to Murdoch Park as we were giving them away. And we have a little bit of extra difficulty with that because we insist on providing a bag of mulch with each tree, especially with the drought condition now. That bag of mulch is all important. So we provide a free tree bag of mulch along with a free tree. That means people were unloading and unloading not only trees, but bags of mulch. And that was extremely appreciated. And John Bacon and his crew were very good. We had Lorenzo Escobedo, which came in very handy because we had some Spanish speakers that he was especially able to help. So it was a very good project. It was a very good collaboration, and we were very happy about it. Are there any questions? I think I neglected to mention that I'm speaking for ICT Trees Incorporated.
No, thank you, Elizabeth. Questions for Elizabeth?
So this is the second one you've done. You have plans for another one next year or?
Yes, we do. We learn from each one. This one was extra difficult because we had glitches in one of the things that we do is work with Arbor Day Foundation. They provide a dashboard. So the trees are actually requested. People have requested the trees. We targeted, excuse me, zip code 67214 and a portion of 67208. And the dashboard was glitchy. We ended up getting it corrected finally, but we only had 1 week of totally working dashboard for the requests. And so we had to really pull out all stops for promotion to get that. So next year, we're going to make sure the dashboard has been thoroughly checked well ahead of time. And we also plan to try our hardest to resource the trees locally. We've been purchasing them from the Arbor Day Foundation. The trees last year had some problems. One even arrived dead. They made it up for it, so that was good. This year, the trees are extremely healthy, but I believe we can do just as well, if not better, by sourcing them locally. Thanks for the question, and thank you all very much.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Okay, had everybody had a chance to review, our meetings from the previous month? We had a special meeting, and I know our March month, we did not have a quorum, so we just had an intake. Any questions?
But the March month describes me. Oh, here it says vice president. You changed that.
Not this morning.
That I was the president.
It did.
Just the chair.
Yes, I caught that one this morning, but in my defense, had you sign, I did catch that one as vice president, so.
Thank you.
Other questions? All right, can we get a motion? Okay. Motion in a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, Phil, there you are.
Oh, yeah, he's virtual, sorry. Earlier.
All right, well, minutes are approved. Are we, Alex, are we starting with, Chill or with,
So it would probably be faster if we went with the SIB and the Pagoda, just because those happen pretty quickly, and so we could get those out of the way with the quorum, if you wouldn't mind.
okay,
Those are okay with College Hill and,
board friends, is that all right? Okay, we'll move forward then with the SIB nomination vote for Nathan.
Anybody else want it?
Well, but I move to nominate you, Nathan, if you still want to do it. You represent us well.
Well, terrific.
All right. Well, and are there, Nate, are there other nominations that we need to get out of the way? I know Doug represents us on the foundation and Eddie's on the golf.
Not that I'm aware of, although I don't immediately know when those were last made or when they expire.
You didn't know I'd been talking to you before. So I need to resign because I've been appointed to the MAPC. So that takes care of the Park Foundation too.
Okay. Well, then I guess we can,
We'll look into that and see what we want for the next meeting.
perfect.
Thank you for bringing that up.
All right, well, I would move to approve Nathan to represent the park board as an SIB.
Second.
Got a motion in a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? You can't oppose yourself, Nathan. All right, easy. We got the pagoda at Central Riverside Park. Lady Owens.
was it was just what was in person again, right? I don't think there was no like presentation for it again. Okay.
Sport. Lady, if I could have you, your name and your address for the record.
I'm Dottie Owens and I live at 1308 North Perry.
I apologize about that.
And I was not able to join you last month. My name is Lynn Rogers. I'm at 912 Spalding in Riverside. We represent the Friends of the Kansas Wildlife Exhibit. I know we've presented before you to this group. Our plans are to renovate and remodel the pagoda that was built in 1911. It was one of 3 buildings that were planned in the, according to Eagle, Japanese style. And only one of those 3 was built. It was a concession stand originally and then later converted to bathrooms. It's pretty much been storage since 1936. It was originally built by a park commissioner for $1,052. And we're hoping to turn it into a state-of-the-art wildlife classroom for the Kansas Wildlife Exhibit. So, you know, when our group was created in 2023, there were about 26,000 visitors. Because of a lot of the activities that Zaddy and the staff have done, we have over 40,000 visitors that have now gone to the park and to the wildlife exhibit. We think with the hundreds of buses that come in each spring for all over the Midwest, all over the city and the state of Kansas, that we have a lot of opportunities. We also have a picnic pagoda area in front. And so there'd be a place for children and families to do that. And then when it's not used for the wildlife exhibit, it could be used as a rental facility for the Parks Commission, Parks Board. We're anticipating it would cost about $200,000. We currently have around $43,000 given or pledged to that amount. We're starting the work of getting that done. One other thing that we did find out in our training or our research was that in the 60s, it was used to start the meeting place for the Sedgwick County Park Zoo. And so the Zoological Society met there on a regular basis and had it as a children's pagoda for a couple of different summers. So so it's really been an underutilized facility. We think it'd be a great addition for Central Riverside Park. We've been working with the city law department and the Parks Board, Parks Department on an MOU, and we'd like to make sure that we can get that approved from your standpoint today so that we can move forward in that regard as well. And open to any questions that you have. We've got a few pictures we're willing to share around. But we've had a lot of interest in the neighborhood. Riverside Citizens Association and North Riverside Citizens Association are joining us in support of this. And so we'll have a large number of people working with us in that regard. So have any questions?
Tom, this is in your district. Have you?
It is.
How do you feel?
I like it. I mean, the comment from last month was that Reddy proposes, just like the baby house, that the funding separate. I would also just add, I was at a Prairie Chicken Fest this past. People from all of the US came in. From either Kansas City or Wichita or Denver. The people from Wichita who flew to Wichita, several of them said, I stopped by the central or the wildlife exhibit because I'd heard about it and it was great. So the word is out there about the Article Park.
The staff there do a tremendous job and encouraging a lot of people. Sunday was a big day. I know Saturday was a big day. They had a lot of activity. They've also worked with a lot of some of the hotels and things to the concierge know about it and encourage people to go to that as well.
Maybe so is it a recommendation?
Yeah, I think so. I'm not sure. It doesn't look like the sort of like contract or MOU is part of the materials here necessarily.
Sure.
But I mean, it's kind of like as described, to kind of work on it. So I think the idea would be just, recommend that park move forward with Friends of Kansas Wildlife Exhibit on renovations to the pagoda consistent with.
Is this a city park or is this a Parks Commission park?
Parks Commission Park. But it's not, so it's kind of some fuzzy ground where it's not like an encumbrance or something on the property. So it's not something necessarily that has to be specifically approved, like an easement or something on a park board property. But because it is park board property, it does need some consideration from the park board to be able to move
The
forward.
pagoda has different ownership than the Central Riverside Park and the wildlife exhibit.
No, I think his question, and perhaps I misunderstood, my
I
apologies.
no, I know that some of our parks are commission owned.
Yes, so this is, yeah, so some parks are still, the title for them is held by the park board because all parks used to be held by the, I thought that was your question, right?
It is, it is.
Yeah, okay. And it's not that the pagoda is owned by anyone different. That is city property, but it exists as a thing on property that is titled to the park board. So that's why some of the older parks, basically, we give more consideration to what the park board, thinks and
It
recommends.
isn't changing, we're not changing the footprint or anything like that, and so it isn't.
I don't believe so. And again, it's not something that restricts the land kind of, which is kind of what we're looking at for some of those easement style things. But because it is park board property, as we call it, then yeah, it requires some consideration by the park board.
You want to make the motion?
I would make a motion that we encourage these folks and that the park board supports their activities of raising funds and proceeding with the.
Does that work?
Yeah, that's good.
I second that. We've got a motion and a second. All those, aye. All those opposed? Thank you.
Thank you very much. We look forward to working with you.
Right, we will invite William Samel with UPR.
It'd just be the other tab.
And if you could just state your name and address for the record.
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is William Small. I live at 1613 Ramona Avenue in Grover Beach, California. So thank you all for taking the time for letting us talk today. Today we'll be talking about the remedial design, remedial action project. It's a Union Pacific Railroad project located at the 29th Grove Street project. I'll be presenting today. My name is William Summel. I'm a principal environmental engineer with Cadis. And we also have Becky Rui back over there. She's the senior manager of site restoration, environmental site remediation for Union Pacific. We also have Jonathan Lake along with the community leads for St. Law Club. So today we want to talk about our meeting objectives, some of the site background, some of the mid-plume treatment approaches that we're proposing, and then specifically we want to talk about transect F. It's a location discussion that we're looking at on park board property. And we'll have some time at the end for some questions. Begin our meeting objective, we want to have a project overview and then discuss and have alignment on our proposed system location, which is located at our that location. The site background. So this is a site that's located in Northeast Wichita, Sedgwick County. The original owner is Missouri Pacific Railroad, or MOPAC. The current owner is Union Pacific Railroad. It was acquired the rail yard as part of a merger with MOPAC in 1982. There was an investigation that started in 2000, and they identified impacted soil near the source area. Primarily, it was trichloroethene, or TCE, that was identified. There have been some lower concentrations of other volatile organic compounds, or VOCs, that were detected. And that was up at the source area, which you can see at the top of the page. Groundwater flow to the south, and it created a 2.7 mile plume. And it's defined by Minnesota Street to the west, Grove Street to the east, Murdoch Street to the south, and Union Pacific Road to the north. We're in this part of the remedial design, remedial action phase, and during this process, Union Pacific has conducted thousands of groundwater, soil, outdoor and indoor air tests, and performed a range of remediation in an effort to design for safeguarding the community. As part of this effort, we also submitted an RDRA plan, and the most recent revision was submitted for KDHE in March of this year. I'll just back up real quick. So here you can see there's a source area up here, and we call this the source area by the railroad, and then we have this mid-plume area, which is this other part of the plume. And we have an existing system down here, which is the Murdoch system, and also call that transect F. For that mid-plume area, we are breaking the treatment of the contaminated groundwater into these green areas, and we're treating the groundwater via dynamic groundwater recirculation or DGR. And we have 4 transects here that we're showing here: transect BC, transect D, transect E, and transect F. Again, transect F is where there's the existing system and we're expanding it there. The transects were placed to reach our goal, and TCE will be removed from the groundwater through a number of different treatment processes that are located at different systems throughout the different transects. Specifically talking about transect F, here's our process flow diagram. We essentially take groundwater out of the ground. We adjust the pH to prevent mineral scaling. Move that pH adjusted water into an air stripper, which will remove the volatile organic compounds. And then we have treated water that will get discharged into the the storm sewers. So again, looking at transect F, we have our existing facility located here. And along this red line, we have existing extraction wells that move water from the groundwater into that system for treatment. As part of this RDRA plan, we are installing 2 new extraction wells. These are these blue dots here, and we'll add this additional conveyance line back to the system. However, when you add the new extraction wells, we're going to need a bigger building. And right now you can see on the zoomed in image on the right, this blue dashed box is where our existing system is. It's kind of hard to see, but this is the existing system. This is a driveway and a little truck. There's a highway 135 overpass is over here. So any expansion of the system is going to have some lateral constraints and also vertical constraints with the overpass. So we need to expand the system. And to the right of this property, which is on KDOT property, we have the Board of Commissioners property, which is Murdoch Park. You can kind of see here in the zoomed out area. So with the challenges of expanding the system on the KDOT property, we did a record research at other parcels in the area. We identified 3 parcels that are shown here on the south side of Murdoch that are also owned by the Board of Park Commissioners. Our particular parcel that we are preferring to work in is this northernmost one, the ID 00121547. And so basically we can kind of decommission the system that's north of Murdoch, kind of take it away from Murdoch Park, and then put it on the south side of Murdoch, which would be a little bit more. So this is a zoomed in image of that parcel, that northernmost parcel, south of Murdoch. So the red line is the property boundary, and then we have this conceptual square footage of what a treatment system building would look like. We have this dashed yellow line is the fencing around it, and a little harder to see is this kind of like magenta color access road that goes to the system. So we're looking to occupy this northwestern corner of that parcel. What do the treatment systems look like? All of the treatment systems as part of this project are designed to be consistent with other structures in the neighborhoods. Right now, we're looking at a pre-engineered double building, or PEMB, and that's kind of shown in that photo. It's been on the top of the page of the building. We also have some photos in the bottom right here from our design drawings. It'd be kind of like a corrugated metal outside, some roll-up doors, and some entry doors as well. We'll also need an access road for construction and operation and maintenance, or O&M of the system. And this is shown in the top right image. This is for a different transect, so it's not what we were necessarily proposed for this system. But it has a treatment system building, and it has an access road that kind of goes up and over. I think for this system, it's going to be a one-way in, one-way out, so I got to loop around or U-turn around the building. We'll also need a fence around the building for site security, and this image on the top right image shows that too, where we have it's around some swing gates as well. We'll need a power drop to operate the system and a municipal water line for O&M as well. The treated water, as I mentioned before, goes to the stormwater system, and we're currently in development with the city of Wichita for a stormwater use agreement for that part of it. And then also the conveyance lines from the new extraction wells in the right of way to the system are also in development with the city of Wichita and a point-to-point agreement. This is the process flow diagram before the treatment system as well. The dashed line around is what's going to be inside of the building. So going from left to right, we have the extraction wells, moving water from the groundwater into an influent tank where we're managing the pH. That pH adjusted water will go through some bag filters, which will remove any sediments and fines from the system, and then go into an air stripper, will remove the volatile organic compounds. The treated water will go in an effluent tank, and then ultimately the treated water will be discharged to the storm sewer. And this is a typical 3D rendering. So the treatment components are listed out there. But we basically have like our influent tank, the bag filters here, the air stripper, and then the effluent tank and water getting pushed out to the storm sewer.
So is that all in the building?
It is. That's the end of the presentation. Just wanted to give the Board of Park Commissioners a little background of the site where we're at. We are really excited to move forward with this stage of the project. We've been working with the city of Wichita for a long time, and specifically the last 6 months, we've been heavily involved with a group of folks at the city. Denise Peters is the city project manager. We've been working with Gary Ferris, the Parks Department. He's been our point of contact. So we're really excited to move forward with this project. Any questions?
Can see the dimensions of the metal building. If you got those, that would be helpful for me to picture how.
Sure. It's about 30 by 55.
How tall?
Before, not including the roof, but the wall height is about 12 feet.
Other questions?
Given our current situation and projected situation, like, is there a way to, instead of just discharging into the stormwater into the river, that we can discharge this into city water to be treated and pumped out?
Into the sanitary sewer system instead of the storm sewer?
Potable system. If this is already treated water, can we then run it through the city's treatment center? And that way we're not pulling more water out of our aquifer and groundwater.
Yeah, that's a good question. The current system discharges to the storm sewer. That's how it's happening. There's really two, so it's not treated for drinking water. It's just treated to remove any of the
The
contaminants.
city can treat for drinking water.
Yeah, there are two routes typically with the treatment system. One is to discharge to the storm sewer, which would go to like some other receiving body of water, or it could be discharged to sanitary sewer, which would go to the wastewater treatment plant. But for these systems, we're not proposing to go to the sanitary sewer, which is in the storm sewer.
Thousands or millions of gallons a day do you pump out of the groundwater?
Right now, this system is somewhere like 100 gallons per minute.
How much?
100 gallons per minute.
Can you build a storage for that tank, storage tank or something, so we can use that for park irrigation purposes, golf courses and trees and everything else, rather than just dumping it into the storm sewer? It's perfectly good water. It's not good for drinking, but it's perfectly good for irrigation, for landscaping. That if you had a storage tank, we've got trucks, we could collect it, I don't know, daily, weekly, whatever, and take it to our parks.
It's 400,000 gallons a day.
It's a lot of water.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
yeah.
give us 10%.
It's definitely something we can look into. So some of these other transects we're not talking about today, like I mentioned the term groundwater recirculation system. So a lot of these other systems have some reinjection component to them. So we are injecting some of that water back into the ground. But I think we can look into that. But right now, I think we would take up more space in the park to store the water. I think there's a lot of this ultimately goes to Grisham Creek, so it's not is getting water back into that.
Going into the big ditch, or is it going in? The storm sewage system is underground.
It'll go into the storm sewer system. It'll tie into it.
So nobody will see it going. I'm just concerned, I don't know if you're aware what happened over at the big ditch with the new water treatment plant. Everybody suddenly saw water coming out of there and just going down the ditch being.
No, it's not a surface water discharge. It'll be directly connected to a storm sewer, like manhole. And we've been working with Troy Tilson and the stormwater department to make sure that the storm, whatever we're tying into, has the capacity to receive this water.
This is the only one. This is block F.
This is transect F. We have.
F.
Yeah, we'll have.
There'll be other ones at these other transects.
Yeah, we do. None of these will be on park property.
They'll be on private property or KDOT.
It'll be on city-owned property.
City-owned property.
Questions? All right. Hey, what's my how do
I guess I'm kind of just depends on what they're asking, since it's not an approval near as I can tell necessarily from this board, but more of kind of a recommendation. Yes or no, and not to speak necessarily for what you're asking for, but that's kind of how I kind of understood it more.
We would like obviously we thought we were going to work on the North Center dock and the existing KDOT area, but we would like approval if we get approval for the location of the system, then we can advance our design and work through getting this project implemented.
Yeah, and currently there isn't anything, it doesn't look like there's anything on that land that it would step into.
Yeah, like recommend approval of that. Not, and sorry, it's just, I think you need other approvals maybe to do that, correcting, and this is part of that process, as I understand it.
There's locations that we have, so there's 3 components that we're having agreements with to execute these. One is the stormwater use agreement to discharge water to the source sewer. One is the waste management agreement, which is the right of way usage. And then the third is a lease agreement, which we're working with the city of Wichita for city of Wichita owned property. But because this is Board of Park Commissioners property, we need approval.
Oh, okay, and my apologies, sorry, and just, yeah, confusing it with the last one. So yeah, I think for that one, then yes, and I think, yeah, recommend approval or approval works for either one. Just depends how broadly you kind of want to deal with the different options here.
So the city has negotiated a lease on this parkland. Is that what I'm gathering? Or is it just city of Wichita, the transect, EEG and whatever else? You're negotiating a lease with the city of Wichita. Are you negotiating a lease with the Board of Park Commissioners?
Yeah, our understanding is that the lease agreement would hold the terms and conditions, the content of the lease agreement would hold regardless if it's on city of Wichita property or Board of Park Commissioners property. But the Board of Park Commissioners be the center of that lease agreement instead of the city.
My only concern is if they're pumping 100 gallons a minute at each of the transects, which I may be wrong here. I don't know if your number was per site or total. But if it's per site, we're trying to tell people serve water and whatnot. Now we're talking 1.5 million gallons a day being pulled out of the water table and out of one.
It's a huge problem already with that, with the plume, the damage that has been done. And I understand the remediation. My problem is I don't think this is appropriate use of park property. It's probably proper for city property, but not usage for city park property.
Well, I guess I was going at, there was a way to divert this not to the river. If the water's clean enough for our city or Oklahoma or somebody else to pull that water out of that river and treat it and drink it, why isn't it clean enough for us to divert it and use it? So we're not just pulling the water out of our water table and sending it downriver to somebody else.
So I think
Just given our current situation.
Details of your like water, wastewater, and drinking water facilities, but usually.
How about our drinking water is down on 10 feet at our lake?
Sure.
So we get water yards.
If we discharge this to the sanitary sewer and go to the wastewater treatment plant, we could probably also discharge this to some surface or groundwater body. And then your drinking water treatment plant, it pulls from a different area. So those two entities aren't tied together. It's not like the wastewater treatment facility is feeding the water for the drinking water treatment facility. So that's one part of it. It's also shallow groundwater. It's not a part of the aquifer that you would use for drinking. Depth of groundwater here is around 30 to 40 feet. So it's typically when you're getting groundwater and drinking water, you're several hundred feet below ground surface. So this is just a surface aquifer that you wouldn't use for drinking water purposes anyways. This is I know it's an interesting remedy. This is a common remedy that we do. We have to remove the groundwater out. We have to treat it. At these other transects, we are re-injecting it back into the ground, but sometimes it's pretty hard to re-inject water in this shallow aquifer in this part of Kansas. So for the part that we can, we are discharging to the storm sewer.
You're already doing that?
We are, yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think there's 5 or 6 extraction wells already with the system. It's all getting discharged. So we're just adding maybe 10 or 20% of the flow for the system with the 2 new extraction wells.
So back to Tom's point, I believe he asked if this is best use for parkland. Have we investigated other sites, or is this kind of a path of least resistance?
We've been looking for places to put these systems for the better part of 2 or 3 years. Focusing on city-owned property. We've been working with the city on this project for a while.
And this particular location is the most efficient?
Well, we didn't know exactly until we started working through the design, the extents for which how much we would need to expand the building, and recognizing that we didn't have like any space to the left of the existing building. that we would need to move on to, yeah, so we did a record, we looked at other places that we could figure out. We wanted to get out of Murdoch Park. It's like a pretty established park. If you want to say anything.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Jonathan Long. I'm the community liaison representing CFL Collective on 2333 East 21st Street, 67214. So as the community liaison, when we first learned about these systems, one of the things that we looked at was obviously where is the best place for these systems. And some of those systems were directly in parks. And in having this conversation, one of the things that UP and myself kind of talked through is how do we have these remediation systems that does not directly affect current parks? So when you say like, when the first systems first came about, there were some in parks. And we recognized and just kind of having conversations that we did not want to have them in parks. And so we looked at what are the ways that we could best and most efficiently have these remediation systems, because we have to have the remediation, but not affect the park, not affect people having to be able to utilize those park systems. So we have looked at them and kind of worked through, this is the most efficient way to have them that does not interfere with the current specific park space. If that answers, does that help?
Good. I think so. Thanks, Jayla.
This respective part of the park, I mean, it's south of Murdoch Street. It's not, there isn't like, we don't have tennis courts or any assets down there in that respective
It's like
park.
2 acres of
Yeah.
green grass along the canal route, butts up to Chisholm Creek, right on the south edge of where that border picture is. There's a lot of vacant houses in that area.
So I had the chance to connect with them a little bit, and I feel fine with it. I mean, the space I would rather that space be built south of Murdoch than more into Murdoch Park itself and close to the tennis courts or anything like that. That's already there.
Yeah, I've got no issues with it. I'm gonna defer to the engineers who are a lot smarter than I am here.
Absolutely.
I think we need to do our due diligence as well, and ask these questions and make sure that giving away parkland for something crazy.
Hey guys, so just be asking to this. I'm just listening to this since I'm also an environmental engineer. This is what I do. So, I mean, this is a standard process, remediation process that everywhere is going through to remove TCE from groundwater. So, William, how long is your remediation plan for?
We're modeling substantial cleanup within about 10 or so years.
Okay, so that's standard.
This is a lease, it's not a purchase.
The other site cleaned up then, or is this just an addition to the other sites and Transit F?
The location that's on the other side of Murdoch, that'll get removed once we install the other one south of Murdoch. The southwest is enough.
Well, I just like your idea of reclaiming the water for parks and golf and.
Well, I don't know how easy it is to tie into.
I don't know
the
either.
irrigation system, but I guess my question really just came into if it's clean enough for someone downriver to drink it, why isn't it clean enough for us to treat it and drink it?
Well, it's also getting KDHE approval too. That's the other thing. He would have to go back to KDHE to get approval to do that.
Questions? Okay. So Nate, I need to make a motion to.
And I think
Lease the property.
And just, are we really just, are you asking for kind of the Transect F?
Yeah, just
Focus here, okay, and that's where my confusion was coming before, so if it's just that one, then that would be approval of a lease as described here.
This is still go to council.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'd make a motion to approve the lease on Transect F as proposed by
have any lease terms that we know
We are.
of, correct? That's being negotiated.
I believe so, or maybe I get, and that's kind of,
Maybe the location of the property.
Yeah.
Make a motion to approve forward progress to city council.
Well,
well, and the thing I'm trying to balance here a little bit is just if they need to come back then, and this is up to you all, just more if they need to come back when the final lease is all drafted and put together and everything, and whether you want this approval to be sufficient for that and just allow, say, Aleo to sign when it's done, or if we want to review it again when that's all completed.
because at the end of the day, even if I signed it, it's still got to go to city council.
I believe so, yes, yeah.
I mean, I don't have an issue. And if it's gonna go back to council anyways. Unless you guys want to hear about this in a month or two.
Once the mayor signed it, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. So how should I say this, Nate, to make sure that it covers what we need to cover?
And I think the what you were saying works, just the park board approve the concept as presented here for Transect F. In any lease that's substantially similar to what's been described here.
Alright, I'll make a motion.
Easy now, in case something weird comes up.
Alright, so I'll make a motion to approve the lease agreement for Transect F as proposed by UPRR. And what was the last part you said?
Just a substantially similar lease as described in the concept.
Yes.
What you said?
Yeah.
My motion. And second.
I'll second.
Nathan second. I got a motion and a second. Other comments?
Vote no, I think that precedent for park.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, motion passes. Thank you, Nate. Thank you, guys.
Thank you all very much.
All right, we've got a utility easement request in College Hill Park. Tim?
Hello, good afternoon. Tim Kellogg, Public Works and Utilities. Here to present to you on something that's not the quarterly CIP update. This is for the College Hill Park private sanitary sewer easement. I guess there's quite a bit of discussion around who owns what. College Hill Park is owned by the city of Wichita, so this is not somehow surprisingly, this is not a Board of Park Commissioners property. As you know, College Hill Park has been around for quite a long time, and there's been a lot of developments around through here, and I would highly suggest if you want to just kind of explore around College Hill Park, the utility lines on our GIS website. They are places that you wouldn't believe that they are in. So with that, there are some funny instances that happen. One of them is this case here, where we haven't really done this a whole lot before, and that would be a private a property owner to put an easement through parkland to connect to the here's the main line that runs right through here. That's the green line, and their ask is to have an easement for sanitary sewer to connect to that main line. This property, I think, was vacant for a number, it was something like 20 years, 15, 20 years, for a long time, more than you would think that it would be. And the issue right now is probably asking, well, how do they have their sewer line connected now? Well, they are connected to their neighbor's sanitary sewer line, which we are not really a fan of, for a variety of different reasons, but they're connected. I think at one time there's 3 homes all connected together in their backyard, connected to the same sanitary sewer line, which you can imagine is less than ideal. I know in some of the cases, we've had sanitary sewer lines or water lines put outside of the building foundation of different buildings throughout College Hill. So there are a number of weird instances like this, and this is not one I'd imagine that will come up very often. So the homeowner, was recently purchased and a homeowner, is wanting to make the sanitary sewer connection. And the best way is to connect through, to the main line to the north of the property. We highly discourage and really don't really like connecting the sanitary sewer lines through the front and into the yard or into the street. Partially because anytime you have to do any maintenance on it, you have to tear up the road and you have to keep re-tearing up the road. And if everyone is going into into the road, you keep tearing it up. So there's a number of reasons, and usually there are easements that are on the back of lots that help allow for and connect to sanitary sewer line. When these homes were built, there's no sanitary easement line put in, there's no, or on the back end, because most of them just connected to the front, or they connected in this case to their neighbor's line. So this homeowner here is requesting a proposed 10-foot easement that avoids trees, and this is for sanitary sewer line again. And luckily it's not, when I looked at the arrow, I thought it was going to be really bad. And so it's actually not as bad as I thought it was going to be. So it's 10 feet wide. That's maybe I drew this in the approximate boundary of it. And so it would be connected. You kind of see back here. This is where the home is, where that kind of tape is back here. And so they'd be connecting into their property line, just straight through their backyard. And it would connect over here. In some cases, there may already be things like this that are happening that we just don't know about because they were done 70 years ago, 80 years ago, things like that with these old parks. Some of these things we don't know about. McAdams is another one where some things aren't reported because they were a handshake agreement 60 years ago. So yeah, sure, that's fine, or however long ago. So I think the goal here is to help get this put in place so that we know that exactly where it is, who's responsible for it, and should there be any issues in the future, one of the term agreements to work on is to make sure that if they come in and they do damage a tree, if they do happen to come in the future, it's just because it's on city property, but by putting it in an easement, we now make it their requirements to maintain through perpetuity of this line. The good news is that I don't think it actually ends right here. So I don't think they'll have to be tearing up any concrete, anything like that. Luckily, the electrical line is on the other side of the pavement here. It connects to another line just down the pathway. So I don't imagine that we'll be running into any electrical lines, things like that. Again, here's just another example. Luckily, they are staying away from quite a bit of trees. I thought it was going to be a lot heavier or more dense in this location. Going back to the aerial here, you can see that luckily it's not going through, right through the middle of this open space. We'd probably have to take down trees if we were to plan to do any amenities in that location here. It's also right next to the back property line, and we tend to try to stay away from back property lines just to give people some space. Most people don't really like, especially if it's, let's say, pickleball or something like that, they don't really like having it right up on their property line. So in terms of future use of this area of the park, I don't imagine that there's really anything that would be planned for this area. And I don't believe I've heard any recommendations or asked from the Collegeville Neighborhood Association or Collegeville Neighborhood Association or anyone for requests for improvements in this area of the park. There are quite a bit of open space, even just a little bit over that. Should there be the need for any type of development, there are other places throughout the park. So this is not a high use area within the park to my knowledge. So again, wanted to come here to, get feedback as we were negotiating or going through term agreements with this. Again, it is City of Wichita property. But wanted to take it here to get feedback, thoughts, all that. I guess an approval or support would be great, knowing that this is kind of really the option to provide services to this home.
And all the cost is the homeowner's cost. It's not costing us, the city. And I'm assuming part of the agreement is they have to reseed it or bring it back to the standard that it was before.
Yes, yeah, they'd be taken back to existing conditions.
Who puts the sewer in?
They pay for the sewer line, they pay,
Company.
yep, and they're actually paying a little bit more because they have to go through and get this survey. Usually if you have an easement, you just sign to the easement, it's already there, so they're kind of going a little bit more above and beyond because they need an easement, and we're putting them through this.
What happens with precedents here that one homeowner's tied in, and then others say, well, I don't want to tie into my neighbor either, I want my own. Is it easier just to drop a secondary line that just runs the backside of all the properties, and homeowners want to tie in and put in a manhole cover or whatever the process is?
So I think that would, not engineer, but I imagine that once it goes above a certain size, it would then become a city project, that the city would be like a city main line. It would be one of our projects that we would do. So I don't know how that generally works. I guess the smart thing would be probably to do that on our back lot, but none of the other homes have reached out to us or asked for that to happen. So then it would probably be it would be their cost to then change. So right now, let's say 324 down here is connecting into the road. They would then have to pay for and put in a sewer line from their home to that new. Because we wouldn't go in and replace a good sewer line.
This is because it's not working.
Yeah, because if we were to ask them to switch to a back lot easement or a back line, then they would probably ask us, well, are you gonna pay for us to do that?
I don't feel any sympathy, because when I built a house, the city charged me 12 grand for a manhole. No sympathy here for that. Just my question is, I now know a housing division is going to tie into my manhole that I paid for. And the city says, oh, well, it's already there. Here, if we look 20 years in the future, that we don't want to tear up the road, eventually the sewer wastewater is going to go bad. It's going to need maintenance. Why isn't the work done now so we're not readdressing this in 6, 8, 10 years?
Well, so I guess my thought is that they have to pay for a curb cut, and they already have a pavement cut, and if they already are tying into an existing line within the road, that is, they've established their right to service their line, whereas this home, for whatever, does not have any line right now, and we have to provide, they have a right to service their line. And I guess it would be us saying, no, you can't go into the road. Because that's kind of bad precedent for us if we keep going into the road, which is something that we don't typically do or allow for. But I understand your point of, well, why don't we just put some in the back, because eventually they're gonna need to go back there and fix it. But I guess we allow people, if they already have an existing line within the right of way, to service that line. But there is just no service line to service now.
Are the other homes all tied? I mean, I guess are the other homes all tied to the back line then?
No, I think most of them go into Circle Drive. I think one of them, and again, probably shows a little weird. I think this person may have gone through our property years and years ago, and there's no easement there.
Are there any forecasted issues? I'm guessing all 6 of those houses are all on one line.
No, I think most of them are coming down to Circle, but it's these weird ones that are tied together that need to be separated. I think maybe it was these 3, or I'm not totally sure.
Is 320 the house that feeds in, or are they at the other end of the line? Are they
320 number 1 that's connecting to its neighbor?
Is anybody connected to the 320 then?
I don't think no one's connecting to the 320.
So they're kind of the end of the line.
They're the end of the line.
So we shouldn't deal with this then.
Do what?
This shouldn't come up then again.
No, I wouldn't think so. All the other ones are occupied, so they would have an existing service line that they would have to then maintain. They just happen to be connected to their neighbor.
All right, well, who do you need? A vote of,
A recommendation for approval would be nice. Again, this is city of Wichita property, but if there's some caveats, things that you feel are necessary to have. I think- 10 trees, yeah. Nate, I don't know if there's been any, this is kind of an odd one, so I don't know if there's any standard language and things like that, that typically is mostly just damage. The damage, they cause damage, like let's say they like are putting in the sewer line and tear down a tree.
Oh, sure, yeah, yeah, but that doesn't necessarily need to be part of
That would be
motion.
Exactly, sorry.
Right, that's pretty standard for our.
So, recommendation to move forward with the proposed sewer easement?
Yeah, yeah, that works.
I make a motion to move forward with the proposed sewer easement at 320 South Circle Drive. In a second. Other discussions? Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Okay, we got a new recommendation for a new sewer line. Thanks, Tim.
Thank you.
All right, we've got a finance update from Brandon. What? We did. Yeah.
So, yes.
It's like, no, we
I will say that.
didn't have right after.
What it's worth, you didn't vote on that last one, so that's kind of the only 5-0.
Take the next.
Real nervous about that SIP.
Good afternoon. So we're just gonna go over the first quarter of 2025 real quick.
Yes, you. But you chose the right meeting to not be here. First one as director.
That's very true. So for the first quarter, let's look at the revenues real quick. As far as the general fund goes, with everything being equal, we'd be looking at like 25% to the budget as a good benchmark. This is on the revenue side, so generating more than 25% is a good thing. With the admin, it's about on track. Recreation, we are a little slow, but that's most of recreation's revenues do come more into the summer months as we start opening up swimming pools, student summer camps, and that type of thing. We've actually, January and February were a little slow on some of the classes at the rec centers. However, we did see a large rally in March. Most of the rec centers see a bump in revenue on their memberships and things like that in their classes. As far as expenses go, we're looking to be right on track. With everything being less than the 25%. As far as cost recovery goes with recreation, we're a little bit ahead of, this should be the 2024. But we are a little bit ahead of where we finished the year last year on most of these. Again, there haven't been any summer camps, we don't have any pool activity yet. Specialty parks are down a little bit, but they are also very seasonally driven, especially with the tennis center. A lot of them, they do have the under the dome. They also have a lot of outdoor courts. And then the other big specialty park there is Watson, and they just started their season, and they've been doing pretty good work over there. As far as fall goes, and I'll let Jesse go into more details with that on what he's looking at. As far as the revenue goes, things are looking good. I'm going to dive a little more into the golf administration part of it and making sure that everything that we've collected there is being divided up into the correct golf courses. Because having 54,000 is a little concerning. We finished 20 20-some thousand last year. So I'm just gonna check with my staff and make sure that everything is sitting correctly.
What was that increase for? Well, like from 20 to 54?
Do what?
What was that? Why did it increase so much?
What I'm thinking is that, because a lot of these are, a lot of the admin, as we collect the revenue from the department, from the golf courses, they go into the admin budget, and then they are divided back out into the different, golf courses, based on activity. I'm just gonna double check to make sure that everything's being divided out correctly, because it looks like it's not. I am a little concerned on that. As far as the expenditures go, everything looks really good. Golf is a little unique on, yes, they are seasonally driven, but they're also very active in the winter months. That's when they get a lot of their work done. So I'll let Jesse talk about the irrigation work, because I know that that's really kicking up. As far as cost recovery goes, I know that January was pretty rough because it was a pretty cold, pretty snowy winter. But they have rallied in as far as March goes, and so we do see some Park and Texas Solver having a higher cost recovery. So with that, let's stand for any questions.
Questions? All right, thank you.
You went golf next.
We've got social media.
I thought he was just teeing you up for golf to present next right after that.
Yeah, everything said.
Start off with social media, and then Shannon's got a marketing update for you guys. All right, so here is our updated follower count for all of our social media pages. It's pretty similar again. However, we did have about half of the pages that see a small increase again with Kansas Wildlife Exhibit being the winner for this past month. I believe 9% increase again, so they're just cranking it up month after month. Okay, so the top post for the Park and Recreation Facebook page was regarding the tennis center. They hosted the regional youth tryouts for Team USA. That post reached about 4,000 people, and the overall page reach was 54,000. And then for Watson Park, spring break was a big deal. They were open every day during spring break, whereas right now, until we get closer to summer, it's just the weekends. But so this post about the spring break hours reached almost 20,000 people, had 100 interactions, including 22 shares. That page overall was up 300% from the prior month. Nasker Park, we had a lot of interactions regarding the Fan Fest. So here was a post, a video of Texas Tech and their pep band and their cheer squad out there. The Fan Fest really just hit hard, and we had a lot of engagement on, like, in person and online. The page overall was up 2,000% in March versus February. And this video alone reached over 20,000 people and 521 interactions. And that was just one of several videos from this event. Open Streets, of course, we just had Open Streets WSU yesterday. So top post for March was gearing up for that event. The save the date for it reached 27,000 people, 752 interactions, and over 100 shares of this post. And then Golf Wichita, the top post was regarding First Tee, an update about the progress they're making on their youth campus. And that post was also shared several times, 32 total interactions. And that's all I have for you. Stand for any questions you might have, otherwise I'll pass it off to Shayna.
All right, thank you.
Date, but it also should be loaded.
Oh, okay, I see. Hi, everyone. My name is Shanna Applehands. I'm the Marketing and Communications Director for the department. I am presenting today on behalf of the marketing team, myself, our graphic designer, Jessica Jones, Dave Bongsa, and Trevor Turquillo, our food and beverage and marketing specialist. So I'm going to provide an update about the department's mobile apps. And for those of you that weren't aware, we have 2 mobile apps in the department. By a show of hands, how many people in the room have at least one of these downloaded on their phone right now? Nice. So anybody that doesn't, you're able to scan the QR code and follow along. So both of the apps, Golf Wichita launched in March of 2016, and the launch strategies included social media, email blasts, website, print pieces in the clubhouses, golf cart inserts on the cart itself, media briefing shared across all city platforms. We utilized a paid media campaign utilizing traditional media with television, radio, and we did digital ads. We utilized the golf guide, and we created videos with local celebrities and public figures, Don Hall, the radio DJ, and Tad from Tad Locker Room. Both of them featured in our mobile app videos. In the first quarter alone, we had over 1,400 downloads. And that was a very big win for us. I remember somebody saying, if you get over 1,000 downloads in the first year, we'll consider your app very successful. So having that in the first 3 months, we felt pretty awesome about that. The Park and Rec app launched April of last year. So this month is our 1-year anniversary. And launching the app 8 years later from the first one, we were able to utilize more digital solutions with this launch. So we utilized Google Demand Gen, site retargeting, social media, the Scala network at all of our facilities, including City Hall and the NAFSCR Park digital billboard, email blasts, Nextdoor, YouTube ads, website. We attended media briefings, put out media release. We utilized local social media influencers like Wichita on the Cheap, Wichita Mom, Wichita by EB, and Wichita Life. And this time around, because it was specific to the park department, we utilized yard signs with QR codes that were staked up at the facilities as people were walking into rec centers or swimming pools, O.J. Watson Park, the tennis center. Gave people the opportunity to see the firsthand scan the QR code as they were walking into the facility. So an overview of the golf app. The purpose of this app is to enhance the golfer experience at the Wichita courses and minimize staff time on the telephone to better serve the customers in the clubhouse. Around 2015, when we started talking about this, the question was, how do we get staff off the phone so they can help the customers in front of them? And one of the suggestions was, let's create a call center. And I remember Steve Lasky's wife, he's the golf pro at Texas Consulver. She looked at us and said, it's 2015. You need a mobile app, not a call center. And she was spot on. So we went in that direction. The key features of this app include the tee time booking, the GPS course navigation, the score tracking, the push notifications, course conditions 24/7, and the loyalty program called Tap the App. And the newest feature is the tee time standby. So for golfers that are trying to get super popular tee times on the weekends that just can't get them, they can sign up on this wait list through the app. And if a tee time opens up, they receive a push notification enabling them to book that tee time immediately. So not only does this become an enhanced customer service feature for golfers, it also helps us continue to generate revenue because we're not missing out on those tee times that were canceled last minute or somebody no-showed. And since we don't charge cancellation fees or no-show fees on our tee sheets, this is a great addition to our mobile app. Like I mentioned, it launched in 2016. The first day of the app, we recorded 336 downloads, which is the second highest in the history of Gallus Golf. And in the first month, Auburn Hills ranked number 5 worldwide in the Gallus Tour, followed by Sim at number 13. This showed us a huge engagement with our golf community, that they were interacting, playing against other golfers around the world in the Gallus Tour. Because of our launch success, Gallus Golf created the How to Succeed with Mobile case study based on Golf Wichita. So they used our roadmap for launching this mobile app for all other operations that they worked with. The analytics for the app right now, currently we have over 33,600 downloads to date. Active users is 9,158, and of those active users, 57% have opted in to receive our push notifications. And in the last year, we've sent almost 290,000 push notifications in our app. So a quick overview of the Park and Rec app. Like I mentioned, it launched last April, and the purpose of this was for customers to be able to access information and services anytime, anywhere, and increase participation in our activities and our events. Key features include the push notification, giving timely updates on events, programs, and employment opportunities. With the SSO module, it allowed customers to easily register for our programs through our point of sale software called RecTrack. The SSO module is a single sign-on feature. So when the customer logs in for the first time to the mobile app, they never have to log in again. They're continuously in there. And this helped prevent an issue that we were having with the web track feature online when customers were using desktop or a cell phone logging in. They were constantly having to contact staff if they didn't remember their login password. So this became a really huge benefit to our customer base. And then the access of admission tickets and memberships and facility bookings. Analytics for this app, we have over 3,100 downloads to date. Last month, we had 608 active users, and our peak month was June of last year with 1,119 users. The modules that we've seen open in the last 90 days are the classes, the My Account, which you see on the screen here, and athletics. What we have commonly happen with our point of sale software is that Jane Smith sets up an account for herself in WebTrack, but she only puts herself in there. So when she goes to register Johnny for a swim lesson, he is not listed in the household management, so she's unable to get an age-specific class registered for. So we always have to troubleshoot with the customer and make them aware they have to add the entire household to their account because of the age restrictions that are in place with some of our programming. And so this feature in the app makes it so much easier for customers to be able to do that and for us to walk them through that process. So benefits of the apps is increasing the accessibility to services. Last year, with the launch of the app, we rolled out the pool memberships digitally through the app and made them available 2 months earlier than they typically would be, along with admission tickets to the pools. So this eliminated the need for mom or dad to drop off their kiddos at the pools with cash in hand. They can now go with their cell phone and have their barcode scanned in the app and just be admitted to the pool immediately. It also reduced the use of paper tickets for rides at Watson Park. In previous years, we've spent up to $30,000 on paper tickets at Watson Park, and by going completely digital, we saved that money. And we made it better for the customer because now all of their tickets were kept on their account versus having to keep track of paper tickets. Like I talked about, the SSO registration improved the user experience for residents. And some of the stories that I've heard over the years with both of the apps is we sent out a push notification in the golf app, and a golfer was at a competing golf course. He received our push notification as he was opening the trunk of his car to pull out his golf clubs. And once he read the app, or the push notification from us, he saw how great the deal was. He shut the trunk of his car, hopped in the car, and came to Auburn Hills to take advantage of that special that was available. So that's a pretty cool story to hear the impact that a push notification is having on our golf customers. Last year, we offered a free swim day at McAfee. but because of everything going on around that time, promoting that event fell through the cracks in our marketing team. We sent out a push on Thursday with the free swim day being Saturday, and based on the push and word of mouth, McAfee was 1 in, 1 out the entire day. So it provides us really great opportunities to touch the community directly. Stand for any questions.
Questions?
I said I'm getting right and push beer and golf. Our girl comes out.
Well, it's coming. Yeah, we spent a long time last year trying to get that figured out. There's a little bit of network and some other issues that are in place, but it'll happen. Yeah, most importantly, it'll happen.
Our biggest struggle with that was trying to get the credit card processing in place. Because of the processor that we were using, we were not able to integrate the credit card transactions with the mobile app. So now we've got that in place, and we're just moving forward to the next step of that component.
Have the next meeting then. All right, thank you.
So I'm going to.
You want to recreation update?
Recreation update real quick. So really quick before I get started, because it's not on the screen, I don't want to forget, Reggie asked me to touch base on open streets yesterday. We hosted our event with WSU in the Shocker neighborhood. We partner with the Wichita State University's Office of Engagement to put on that event. It runs just south of the campus, 2 miles along 17th Street from Oliver to Volusia. Yesterday, we estimated over 10,000 people were in attendance. We had over 80 food truck vendors, 80 vendors and 17 food trucks. The WSU pet band and cheer squad was there, part of the live entertainment. We had 3 activity hubs, and we had very positive feedback about the event. So Fan Fest at NASCAR Park was March 20th through 22nd. 3 days of just basketball. We estimated 25,000 people traveled through NASCAR Park, with Saturday being the busiest of the 3 days. The park was activated all 3 days from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. with Saturday night so busy, staff was there till 11 p.m. We had 6 food trucks: Cheesy Pansy, Travel and Tom's Coffee, Los Habaneros, ICT, Pizza Bus, You Hungry Truck, and the Popcorner. We had 1 booze truck vendor, shaken or stirred bartending, and they had multiple satellite stations and a pop-up bar with 16 stools in the middle of St. Francis. It was kind of like a spaceship. I mean, it was the craziest thing I've ever seen. It was like a trailer on wheels that like collapsed, and bar stools, like a bar in the middle of the street. It was amazing. The NCAA tournament was being watched on the digital board while guests sat in the park. People brought blankets, folding chairs. A lot of people were just standing. The games were set up around the park, including a putting station provided by KWCH, a basketball Connect 4 game provided by Shields, and a craft station provided by Downtown Wichita. We had 2 universities that showed up to do pep rallies with their fans. It was Southern Illinois University, Edwardsville, and Texas Tech that brought their band and cheer team to the park. Beyond the park, Fan Fest made a major impact, generating an estimated $3.1 million in economic activity, which was a significant boost for the local businesses and our community. This event once again highlighted the power of vibrant public spaces like NASCAR Park in bringing people together and creating lasting memories. I'd like to recognize our team member Katie Sears for her exceptional coordination of the large-scale event. Her efforts contributed significantly to its success, and we're already looking forward to the next one. And so with that, I am going to play you this video, maybe not. Alex,
Oh, I didn't know it was a video. It would have played for me. It only ever came through as a picture, so my bad.
You can just imagine 25,000 people at NASCAR Park.
I thought it was just a really grainy photo, and I was just like,
So we had Kids Connection, our in-service camp during spring break week at Edgemoor, Linwood, and Orchard Recreation Centers.
This camp is available for kids ages 6 to 12. It's a licensed KDHE camp where we provide services from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. for $27 a day. And all 3 locations are at max capacity the entire spring break week. Summer of Discovery and Summer Activity Camp registration opened March 1st. And with our annual contest for Summer of Discovery, we offer a free week of camp raffled off for those that register between March 1st and 15th. This has helped us get parents to register early and not wait until the last minute. Currently, our SOD camp is offered at Edgewater, Linwood, and Orchard Rec Center, and they are at 71% capacity only 6 weeks into registration. We had record-breaking numbers with NFL Flag. We have partnered with the NFL to offer this flag football league to the area. It's the largest, most recognized flag football organization in the U.S. and the only one where players wear official NFL gear. NFL Flag is a fun and accessible non-contact program available for boys and girls ages 4 to 15. And 2025 is the first year we're offering NFL Flag in the spring and fall, and we're thrilled to report that a breaking number for spring, we registered 534 kids to play this. And then our folks over at Riverside Tennis Center have partnered with USD 259 to offer a dynamic new middle school summer tennis program. This initiative offers free registration for participating students along with complimentary tennis racket, t-shirt, and professional instruction from our certified tennis pros. It's set to launch on June 2nd, and the program has already reached full enrollment capacity. That's all I got, unless you got some questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Jesse, you're up, sir.
Hello, everyone. Give you a quick update on golf. We'll start with the all the numbers. Year to date, of course, as we talked about January, February, we weren't open. So almost all of the business that we've done this year happened in March. So we are 8,800 at the end of March. We were 8,800 rounds behind. Not much we can do about that. Looking at March alone, we're pretty dead even with last year, which was, we've basically hit capacity almost with rings. We can only fit so many people. So we're working on all the other things that we can do, making their experience better, looking at the supplemental revenue that we can make, increasing food and beverage, all those things. So the rounds, there's just no way to get more people on the course. They're not going to go up, but we just want to make sure they don't go down. But you can see in 2023, we're 5,000 rounds better than what we had done in 23 during the month of March. Cart rentals, we are about almost $18,000 down. Actually, I'm not too concerned with that. I thought that was going to be much worse, but we're definitely doing very well this month. I think we'll make that ground fairly quickly. Food and beverage, we're down 18,000, but again, losing 2 months of business, I feel pretty good about that. Same scenario, I think we're going to make up that pretty quick and exceed last year by quite a big number this year. Driving range, even though we were closed, we're still almost dead end with last year. We did do a slight price increase on April 1st to the range wall, so that number go up a little bit just due to that. We have a major problem with the driving range is that we can't support the demand that we have. So one thing at Auburn Hills right now, we're on this topic, we'll go ahead and talk about this. The grass at Louisiana, and it doesn't recover nearly as fast as Bermuda, and it just gets dead, and it doesn't have time to recover. Even as big as that tee box is, we'll have 50 people lined all the way across the thing hitting balls. So we are looking at a project that we are hopefully going to start in the next couple of weeks to add a concrete slab on the back of the range to put 20 to 25 mats, so we can give that grass a break from time to time. And also when the the rain is wet and different things, we can still open it and get that revenue from it. So, I've been working on that. I think that should be able to start in the next few weeks. Merchandise sales, again, same scenario. Didn't really have anybody in the clubhouses for 2 months, so we're behind there. But if you've been to Auburn, Michael took over late in the year, so he's just now building out his pro shop. And in the last month, the place looks awesome right now. He's done a great job and continues to get shipments in. So they're all coming together. We're trying to do different things this year. All the pros, I communicate with them weekly with what their plans are and trying to just get new and fresh looks in the pro shop. So they're all on board and doing a great job. Big number total revenue, we are $167,000 behind in revenue where we're at this point last year. In the month of March alone, we did 601, and last year in the month of March, we did right at 560. So we did about 45,000. We're on track this month to do at least that much of an increase. So I think by midsummer, we'll be caught up, if not ahead. And by the end of the year, my expectations, depending on whether it's that we're going to do 250 to 300,000 more than we did last year, even with the bad winter that we had. We did do a small increase also to the memberships. Those took effect April 1st, so that will create a little bit more revenue. Looking at our project funds, we again, kind of go over this every month, but at the end of the year, everything over $1 million gets kind of scraped into this general project fund. And then from there, we have 4 buckets that we use depending on the type of project. So about 840,000 is in the big bucket. CART fund, it is sitting around 830,000. You do much better than what I projected when we put it together, which is great. For every cart rental, $2 goes into that fund, so that goes up literally during this meeting. That probably went up $400. The equipment fund, $3 from every green fee goes into that. We have made some purchases this year, so we still have around 82,000 in that. The clubhouse fund, it's 48,000. The grounds fund is 40,000. So 1.8 million. Really, the cart, I kind of keep that separate in my head. So about $1 million right now in the project fund. I am planning on going to council on second week of May 9th, or I don't know the date, but to have to move roughly 200,000 of this 840 over into these smaller buckets so we can continue to make improvements and make enhancements. We know we have the irrigation project I'll give you an update on that in a minute, but we are being very conservative because we are going to start making payments for that irrigation this year. But my hope is that we can pay more than what we're obligated to and get that done and over with and behind us. So pretty happy on with all the challenge. Talk about an event we had this past Saturday at Texan Soccer Junior Golfer Day. The prior weekend, we had our Tex Turmoil tournament, which we opened 2 days of. So we had Saturday, Sunday. Saturday got postponed because the weather was terrible. We postponed it 1 week. It put it the same day as Junior Golf Day. So Saturday was an absolute nightmare, but it worked out really great. I don't know if I've ever been so tired as I was at 8 o'clock Saturday night. But we had, I didn't take a count. I would say roughly 100 kids and parents out. We did a skills challenge, which was a chipping drive putting contest. I think we had nearly 60 to 65 kids that competed. And then we did clinics and all kinds of different giveaways and different things. But it was a really fun day. I think everyone had a great time, got some really good feedback. The marketing, I want to thank Shanna for all her efforts on making sure everyone was aware of this. We also hosted a U.S. Kids Tournament at SIM, which had 58 players the same day. So all together, we had about 220 kids estimated at the course in events. One event I want to talk about coming up, I don't know when our meeting is next month, so I'm going to make sure if it's not before this date, I'll tell you about it. Saturday, May 17th from 1 to 5. Golfer Appreciation Day. We did this last year at Tex. The prior year we did it at Auburn Hills. We had roughly 750 to 1,000 people show up for this. It was a huge event. I want to make it bigger this year. We have a full band that's going to be playing, big stage set up on the range with a lot of different vendors. I'm working on trying to get some special guests to come and put on some clinics, and maybe someone that's played pro golf for several years, if I can make that work out. So, yeah, I would definitely want to extend an invitation to everyone here to come out to that. It should be a great day. I expect a very big turnout, so looking forward to
Couple will know it's all of our programming and the events. Of course, we're full force now into the season and they're packed. Every junior program is packed, every lesson, beginner lesson, adult lessons, every tournament's filling up. It's kind of the same scenario as last year. Our problem is not getting the people, it's trying to figure out how to meet the demand. So it's a good problem. So that all, is there any question?
Jesse.
All right, thank you.
All right, we got Brett.
So
Thank you. All right, so I'm filling in for Gary here today, Brett Russell on the forestry and maintenance section. Been a little while since I've been with you guys here, some right before David left, so good to see you all again. Honestly, I'm gonna be looking at these numbers same time you are, and it was a Monday today, and I didn't get a chance to look at these any sooner than this right now, but talking to John Bacon, he said these are pretty much the typical numbers of what you would see in a month here, nothing outstanding necessarily in terms of what they were able to produce during the month of March. So almost 700 inspections, 194 prunings, 389 tree removals, 5 MABCD inspections, 400 emergency tasks. Of course, a lot of wind in Wichita lately, so that likely a contributing factor there. And then large log management, he has 85 loads here. And then just ongoing support for Lucity, just something that is a constant part of what they do. And then that April scheduled activity, emergency responses if needed, obviously, high priority tree removals, toppings for removals, high priority pruning, MABCD inspections as needed, and then the tree removal contract is still in progress there. You know, it's 515 trees. Construction and special projects section, that's the section that I'm the supervisor over, general maintenance supervisor. And so I want to take just a minute to kind of introduce you to that team. So when I've been here before, we kind of run through the things that they do and what they accomplish in the course of a month. But I kind of want to put some faces to that this month, take just a few minutes to do that. So this represents the crew that makes up our construction and special projects. It's actually divided into 3 separate crews. We have a 1-man crew that does our fab shop. Then we have a 2-man crew that handles all of our playground safety inspections, repairs, and things of that nature. And then that leaves us with what's right now a 4-man crew for construction. Got some interviews for a maintenance worker position coming up this Friday, so hopefully we'll get to increase that by 1 body here coming up pretty soon. But just to give you an idea of what these guys, how long they've been here, what they've done. Joshua Leach, the top left there, he's been a full-time employee for 23 years, all of that with Park and Rec. So he's done almost everything in the park maintenance section. And I lean on this guy a lot for the special projects that require just that extra bit of know-how, extra bit of experience in order to accomplish them. So he's been a machinist mechanic with us since 2015, so about 10 years there filling that position. So this is a highly skilled, highly qualified individual right here that carries a lot of the load for us in a lot of different areas, wears a lot of different hats. Patrick Duncan is the top right there in orange with the stocking cap on, full-time employee for just over 21 years. 14 of those have been with Park and Rec. Some years he spent with Public Works, but he started out Park, went to Public Works, came back to Park. Within Park, he's been in athletics, but with us, he's been an equipment operator too since 2021. So he's done a couple of different stints on the construction crew for us. A great equipment operator. This is the guy you want in the wheel loader if you're trying to do something in one of the parks where you want it to look good when it's done, the ground to be shaped properly and so forth. A good guy. He's the one that drives our big truck for all of our parking lots, snow removal too. So we lean on him quite a bit as well. Unfortunately, we'll probably lose him before too long to retirement, but we're all we've got, and we're making use of him to train the folks that we have. Jason Hale is kind of there in the middle with the black baseball cap on, full-time employee for just over 11 years, 11 and a half almost, and all that is with Park and Rec. He spent some time in internal maintenance, and then he was forestry, athletics, and he just came to us as a maintenance mechanic in September of last year. Since that time, he's attended and passed this certified playground safety inspector exam. So he's the one who's taken the lead on our daily inspections, audits, things of that nature. And he's been a great fit, detail-oriented guy. So when it comes to the schematics required to identify parts that are needed and so forth, he's doing a good job for us. Colin Lusk, he's kind of in the middle right there in the blue hoodie. He's been a full-time employee for just over 9 years, all of that with Park and Rec. Some of it was within forestry. He filled an equipment operator 2 position on the construction crew for a while. But then this past January, he was promoted to a labor supervisor 1. So he's a young guy. He's leading the crew at this point, and so he's got room to grow. And I think he'll be here for a good number of years. And that's going to be good things for this crew as he gains more and more experience. George Schrader, the older guy in the yellow hoodie there, kind of on the left, full-time employee for just over 3 years. He's a maintenance worker. He works with Jason Hale doing playground inspections and repairs. He came to us from WSU where he ran a plumbing shop for 30 years. So he's just kind of filling out some years until he can start drawing his Social Security and whatnot. But he enjoys the playground work. It's challenging. He gets a lot of hands-on stuff. He's very mechanically inclined and just a very friendly guy. So we're happy to have George with us. Arthur Manning, bottom left there, bigger guy, bulky guy. He's just been a full-time employee for just over 2 years and almost 3 years now. And 2.5 years of that was with Park and Rec. So he originally hired on at Public Works, spent 6 months there, and then he transferred to Park, and he's been with us since then. He's been a maintenance worker and equipment operator 1, but he's now an equipment operator 2 just since February of this year. And then Matthew Goddard, the newest member of our team, bottom right over there, just been on with us on this crew since December of last year. He was on an internal maintenance crew prior to that. So all this time, all his almost 2 years time, been with Park and Rec, but just started on with us on this crew here recently. So I just wanted to introduce you to those guys. You see them out in the parks. They're the ones that are getting these projects done, doing all the hands-on stuff, evaluating things, and they're the ones making the difference. So just to run through some of the things that they accomplished during the month of March, we had the train barn on the east side of Watson Park. When it was originally built, it was intended to house the train overnight. Then they decided to add a car to the train. Suddenly the barn was no longer big enough to house the train. So we had it parked they parked it on the train barn on the east side of the park, and that thing was getting old and run down. So we looked at it, what can we do? We found a way to modify the west train barn so that the train would fit in it again. So you see the new doors there on the top left photo. And the train is now being stored in there. It's a much more secure building than what the other barn was. And then we demolished the old one on the east side. So we've got all that taken care of this month. Coming out of the winter months when we do a lot of our sign replacements, our wood cedar signs that name all of our parks, we got several of those built and fabricated. Where we had some shop time, and so we had several of them to install. So we got the one for the Charles Goose Dowdy Junior Tennis Facility in McAdams installed. The new WCT Community Park sign was installed, as well as a replacement sign for Brown Thrush and a replacement sign for Buffalo Park. We also had a project where we fabricated some polycarbonate retaining posts in-house. So Josh was our fabricator on this. So you see the kind of the bottom right picture there with the swing set in the background. That's one of the retaining posts that he fabricated. We wanted to try these sort of as a prototype. We installed 2 of them in Lincoln Park to help retain the poly carts that are there, which have a tendency to walk off and get used for other purposes. And the feedback on them so far has been good. So we're able to easily lock 3 poly carts one of these posts. So we'll likely find some other places where we'll do this. Just provides a little better look for the park than the Holly Curse being strewn all over everywhere. Prevents it from blowing over and trash blowing out, lids blowing open, things of that nature. So should be some good things come out of that. We did some chain link fence repair at South Lakes Park. Did some training on bloodborne pathogens. This crew just received a new compact track loader as well as a new skid steer, replacements for some older equipment that we had. Continued with our graffiti removal, and then we had some vandalism, as you may have heard, to the fountain in Lincoln Park, and part of that was replacing some of the missing pavers. Without those pavers in there, you had some pretty bad trip hazards. During March, we also performed the 2025 athletic court assessment. So every year we look at all of the athletic courts and evaluate them as far as the condition from the surface to the cracking to nets and goals, posts, fencing, basically all the elements associated with that. We rank them, and then that helps to guide some of our capital improvement program choices as to what needs to be done next. So every year we do that, and it's available for folks like Tim to draw on in making some of those decisions. We did quite a few playground equipment repairs and replacements. Those are listed here for you. Tennis net maintenance, placed a ladder bridge and a couple of ADA transfer stations on the playground at Henry Park, which made a big difference in just the appearance of that playground. And then a graffiti removal specifically on playground equipment at about a half dozen locations there as well. And I did not update the number of playground safety inspections, so that's last month's number. And I'm not sure what this month's is, but so I apologize for that. As far as support activity that these guys performed, we provided the ADA showmobile for the St. Patty's Day Parade in Delano, the ADA showmobile for the cultural extravaganza that was held at Newman University. We also got involved in a project helping to destroy and dispose of gambling machines for WPD. So we destroyed about 300 gambling machines in one day using, as you see in the top right photo, our large wheel loader. Believe it or not, that's one gambling machine filling a bucket of that loader. So it was a pretty good sized task. Multiple roll-off dumpsters were dropped on site, filled and crushed the machines as they were being put in, and then they were swapped out. I think they used 5 different roll-off dumpsters in that 1 8-hour day to get rid of those gambling machines. Understanding is they had about 1,000 of them total, so they're processing additional destruction orders. We may have some more of this in the months ahead, but it's run pretty smooth, and it's been a pretty good partnership, helping them to accomplish the things they haven't been able to accomplish before. We did some support for the Fan Fest, some parking blocks that were broken in the street on St. Francis that were replaced, before that event. Just part of what was done to make that site ready. There's an irrigation cage at McAdams Park that needed to be modified. The backflow preventer had to be raised up, so the cage had to be bigger. And so Josh adjusted that, as you see, added to the top of it, helped pour the concrete and bolted that thing back down so that several $1,000 backflow preventer doesn't disappear. And modified the curb on the new boat dock at O.J. Watson Park so that the access point in that curbing actually lines up with the new ADA on clean boat, so making that usable. And then we installed some signs in the kiosk at Great Plains Nature Center and provided some support to Botanica in hauling some compost. So we got a lot of stuff planned for April. Busy putting up the fabric shade tops on the shelters at aquatics facilities, and then we'll follow that up with South Lakes and Murphy Dog Park as well. We've got several memorial benches to install this month, about 4 of them. Hopefully we get done. Just Jeff Daniels is the one I know for sure will get done probably in the month of March. Bleacher repair, chain link fence repair around the irrigation pump at South Lakes. So help protect some of the wiring that has recently been stolen from that facility. So yeah, just a lot of stuff here planned for the month of April. We'll get as much of it done as we can. And that's all I've got. I know we've got park maintenance doing that. Park maintenance monthly report. So this is their internal maintenance crews, retained maintenance, completing winter projects. They assisted with the NCAA tournament. irrigation crews starting up our irrigation systems, testing backflow prevention devices, preparing athletic fields, noxious weeds crews spraying every day as conditions allow, wind and so forth. Vegetation management has masticated much of the underbrush and invasive woody plants in the former camp at Sim Park. So after that cleanup of that itinerant camp, then just the management of the brush that was left. Contracted maintenance is in its second week of maintenance. Then there's just some of the photos from that Sim Park cleanup. Continue to deal with just an excessive amount of illegal dumping. I know today they found that somebody dumped a 380 gallon tote of oil down by Garvey Park that they were trying to deal with just as I was coming to this meeting. So this group just has to adjust to a lot of changing conditions and factors, but they provide you some of the information here from that cleanup from Sim Park, what they accomplished with 8 to 12 employees over 5 days, 313 labor hours, 174.87 tons of material that was removed from that. Total cost of about $20,550. Then they compare that with what it would have cost if you had an outside vendor do it, and the savings was over $81,000 by having our internal crew clean that up. And as you can see from the photos, they dealt with some challenging circumstances, to say the very least. And they've got another significant cleanup being planned on sandbars there in Sim Park. I think that does do it. Yeah, I got questions.
Alex, you have something?
No, I was just gonna mention Sim Park. I thought he was closing before it was mentioned, and I know that was something Reggie was gonna wanna talk about. It was just under 170 tons, 169.92 tons.
They had 174.7 in there. Yeah, which is by far the largest cleanup they've ever performed. I think the next closest was
And then
15 tons or something, so it was a major deal.
Yeah, and then the Garvey Park thing was, it was one of the 100-gallon water tanks, the bulk water tanks, so the 100-gallon square ones, that was filled with like a hydraulic oil type situation. That was just found abandoned in Garvey Park about 1:50 p.m. this afternoon. So it's filled with a little bit more than your standard bit, but that was between the actual building of Garvey Park and that river. So that was what you were referring to, because I got that call from PW. I was just like, oh, okay.
And the issue at Sim is starting to have a huge impact on the golf course. So I can't thank you and your staff and everybody involved in it. It's starting to become more and more of an issue, and people were telling me they weren't going to play golf there anymore. So yeah, so thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Brett. Well, Doug, do you have a final update from the Park Foundation?
No, I don't. Sorry.
No, you're good. Then Nate, is that something we'll address that at the May meeting?
Yeah, we'll check on that, the timeline for that and the golf appointment too, just see.
Or any other appointment. I just want to make sure we get everybody appointed.
I guess kind of on that, I was gonna note, officer nominations and elections are kind of happening now. It's supposed to happen in June. And technically the bylaws are like, president needs to appoint a committee for nominations. Usually though, we just kind of like, if you want to nominate something or want to take that position, we try to figure that out by the next meeting to have it on for the June agenda. It doesn't quite fit your question more, not being on the agenda, but.
Yeah, if you have a breakdown of all the appointments for like other boards, not just Nathan.
Oh, yeah, we can check that too. Yeah, I kind of sustainability, golf, Park Foundation are the ones I think we have, but we can check another. Botanica, okay. And I don't, and clearly then I don't know them all, so I'll check that. It's just off the top of my head.
I just want to
make sure those are all up to date.
People where we need to have.
Appreciate that.
All right, yeah, I don't have anything else.
Okay, I'm not Reggie, notice, but director's update. I do get to announce a pretty big one. The RFP for the park master plan was put out on April 4th. The responses are going to be due by May 23rd, so a few more weeks on that. maybe Eddie is kind of leading and coordinating the selection committee to help with that process. So that's very exciting. And then the other item is the newly vacant recreation superintendent. We're working with HR to get that posted very quickly and hopefully have a strong candidate in that position fairly soon. So please do not ask me any more questions.
Okay, the RFP's responses are due back when?
May 23rd.
Thank you.
Filling Reggie's position will be another national search.
No, it will not be a national search. I believe it's internal. Yeah, internal. So have a lot of great qualified people in the system. So all very good in that position.
All right. That's, we're adjourned. Thank you. Thank you, Jesse. Great job, man.
Last meetings, you have to sign the minutes from last meeting where there was no quorum. And then Alejo, if you wouldn't mind signing all other 17. Go ahead and when you say the gates, do you mean like the arm swings? So do you have that white ticket? I can go ahead and validate that for you.
Okay, you want me to sign? You don't have to see it.
So-
Not this one. That's Mark.
March should say Tom on it.
Yeah, Tom
Yeah, Tom will sign March. You'll sign both of them. It doesn't matter. They're all the same.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you, Tom.
Sir.
As far as the budget meeting tomorrow, that's way too much going on.
Do you have any trips coming up, Tom?
I just got back from a week.
Yeah.
Now,
That's good.
like a couple of.
It's so much fun. I tried to let me do it, I'd volunteer, but
Have any
chickens, grouse,
I haven't seen that policy document.
stuff.
We
Mr.
have
Friday or the Saturday treat feast and the. I had it just because it was.
And then I'll let you write through.
Do everything.
Oh, please don't. You don't want these, I promise. Thank you, appreciate you.
Yeah, we don't have.
Yeah, that's.
I think what I just.
Yeah. It should be just like any other, improvement project you guys are doing.
Anywhere's fine.
Right.
You too, have a good one.
Just need to.
Right.